Good afternoon and welcome to a webinar from Linköping University. Today we are going to talk about studying here, the academic side, applying, but from a European perspective. To complicate matters a bit, there are two application rounds. The first one that most people know about is the one between 15th of October and 15th of January. Everybody can apply in that round. But then there's also what we call a national round, which is 15th of March to 15th of April. And this one, only EU citizens or students who do not need a residence permit can apply in this round. And that's because the results don't come out until July, by which time it is far too late to apply for a residence permit. So we're going to talk a little about that, but that's the reason why we've decided to host this webinar now, with the main target audience being European students. And I'm here with two students, Asia, who is a second-year student on ethnic and migration, and you're from Italy, and also Rebecca, who is a first-year student on, let's see, it's applied ethology and animal biology. Yes, and you're from Portugal. Just a few housekeeping matters. We are recording this part of the webinar. So the first, say, 20 to 30 minutes where Asia, Rebecca and I will be talking a bit about what it's like studying here and the differences within Europe. We will then open up for questions and we ask you to put your questions in the Q&A section. The whole webinar is being recorded, but we will only place the first part on the website, and so this chat will become available, but the Q&A session will only be for those who are actually joining us live, so you get the added value. I reckon enough from me. Let's start. How about you introduce yourselves a little bit more than I just did? I've got Asia to the kind of left of me on the screen, so why don't you start?
Hi everyone, nice to see you. And my name is Asia, as Therese said, and I come from Italy, and I'm studying ethnic and migration. And I finished my exams already, and I'm working on my master thesis now. And I'm very excited to be here. And I have been an ambassador since my first year here, so since September 2019. Yeah.
Thank you. Rebecca?
Hi, so as Therese said, my name's Rebecca. I'm actually a bit more of a freshman here, so I just started my master's degree last August, so I moved to Sweden fairly recently. I joined the ambassadors quite quickly, so to speak. So just about a year ago, I was watching these same seminars, having all my questions and being very nervous about studying in Sweden. But yeah, so I've been having classes since I got here, and I'm actually already planning my master's thesis because for my program, it is a one-year thesis. So we started a little bit earlier.
Thank you. I think we'll be interesting to hear your perspective because you have only ever known the corona status in Sweden, whereas Asia, you managed to get at least 6 months in with regular life before the pandemic happened. I'd like to hear a bit more about how come you chose Sweden and the program that you're studying. Start with Rebecca.
Sure. So I did my bachelor's in general biology because I've always really just loved nature overall, and I'm a very curious person. So biology just seemed like the right fit there. And while I was studying, I did a bunch of internships, and I realized that what I really wanted to focus on for my master's was animal behavior. And then I started looking into it, and I started looking into master's degrees because I did my bachelor's in Portugal, but I was quite certain that I wanted to leave Portugal and try a different country and see a different culture and just experience something new. And for my master's degree, it seemed like a really, really good opportunity. So I started looking into a master's degree that focused on animal behavior. And actually, within Europe, there are not that many options. There are a few in England, but then I was like, oh, what's the Brexit situation? I'm not sure if that's where I would like to go. And then within the remaining options, I just thought that Sweden sounded like such an interesting option, and Linköping University seemed quite a recent university. And from what I could tell from the website, they also had a lot of resources and laboratories. And they also, for my program specifically, they have an association with a nearby zoo, which is Kolmården Zoo. And so the program goes there a lot, and we have a partnership with them. So we do a lot of things that are very practical, and we have this help of the zoo. And so it seemed like a really, really good option, and I definitely do not regret it.
Thank you. Thank you. How about you, Asia?
I studied in Italy. My bachelor was in political science, international relations, and human rights. And when I finished my bachelor, I was looking for something. I known at the time that I really wanted to do something related to migration issues. And unfortunately, this program, this specific program on migration is not very common in Europe. So I just basically Googled like migration studies, and Linköping University was like the first result that I found. And then I applied, and I'm very excited. I mean, I'm still very excited about what I'm studying. And I was looking for an interdisciplinary program, and I definitely found it. And also I was looking for something very critical, and I'm very happy because I realized that the things that I learned are, it's not really about, I mean, of course it's about the content, but mostly it's about how, you know, to learn how to be critical. And this is like a very good, a very good thing about my master in specific. Yeah.
Thanks. How did you find coming here? I mean, you know, was it a big deal, both from Southern Europe? Was there a big difference culture-wise when you came to study here? I'm going to I have to pick one of you. Asia, you can continue.
Well, I don't think that that is actually so different from Italy. Of course, the university works a little bit. It's definitely different. So, for example, I was used to follow a lot of lectures in Italy, and then I was used to have written exams and oral exams. And here instead we have more seminars than lectures, and that means that we have to prepare for the seminars, and we are more like involved in the discussion in the classrooms. And but culturally speaking, I think that I kind of find my place. And of course, as an Italian, I am very like talkative, and I like to meet new people. And Swedish people sometimes are a little bit shy, but yeah, I think it's very nice to see like everything kind of works quite well in Sweden. This is like my general opinion. And I had this idea before to come here, and then I had the chance to kind of prove this, yeah, as like personally, yeah.
Thanks. How about you, Rebecca?
Yeah, so as you said, we both come from South European countries, so there's a little bit of a difference there. I am half German, so I have a little bit of a background in a more Nordic culture, but it's still quite different. And as Asia said, it's a big difference, at least I noticed in the structure of our schedule. My bachelor's was quite strong in terms of lectures. We had a lot of theoretical knowledge that we had to acquire. There were a lot of lectures. We had a lot of labs as well, but it was very focused on exams and on memorizing things and on learning a lot of things from many different subjects in a very intensive way, I would say, which ended up being quite stressful. So a big difference that I noticed for my master's, it's not that it's less demanding, but it's structured in a different way, that it develops a different kind of knowledge acquisition. So it's not as much focused on the theoretical, but a lot more focused on the practical, on the group work, on your individual literature research. And I find that quite important, especially as someone who would eventually like to go into academia and like professional research. This is a skill that I will definitely need for the future. And I would say other things that I noticed when coming to Sweden is that people just seem to be quite relaxed compared to Portugal. I don't know if that's a cultural thing or that is just something that happened within my circles, But even if you go to the info center and you have a question, like people seem to have the patience to like listen to you and, you know, propose something, and then you try it and it fails and you come back and you're like, I'm so sorry, but it didn't work. And they're like, that's fine, we'll have another look at it. And there's a lot more calmness compared to Portugal, which is something that I really, really liked about Sweden.
Yeah, oh, that's interesting. It's interesting to hear it as a native Swede. It's always fascinating to hear people talk about us. But I think that's kind of a common thread, really. That I think, yeah, it's slightly, you know, more reserved culture, but still a very helpful culture, which I hope you've also noticed in the interaction with your professors. Tell me a bit more about, so you came here, unfortunately, Rebecca, you came here at, you know, a very strange time, but how was it arriving here? What was the kind of things that you that confused you, or that you wish you kind of had known? Just anything. I mean, both in terms of the classroom setting, but also general life. And yeah, Rebecca.
Yeah, I would just say the main difference was the approach to Corona, which is something that has been all over the news as well. But Portugal had a very strong approach to Corona, and when I first came here, I came from a country where, you know, masks were mandatory and most businesses had been closed or temporarily closed. And we were basically only allowed to go to essential services, and it was quite strict. And I remember that I hadn't really left the house for anything non-essential in a very, very long time. And coming to Sweden, it was quite a big difference because masks are not mandatory here, and most restaurants at the time and cafes and everything like that, they were still open. And for me, that was quite a big difference because I came from this one mentality and then I'm suddenly in this very different mentality. And at first, obviously, everyone has thoughts about it, but then you do get used to the lifestyle and you do realize that when there's a lot less pressure about the corona, you end up being able to live in a slightly different way. So I would say that was the biggest one corona-wise. About classes, I think it is quite different in a way as well. In Portugal, there's a bit more of a formality between students and teachers. So we are expected to address all our teachers as, you know, professor, and we treat them with a certain degree of authority, I would say. And here we just treat our professors by their first name or even by their nickname, which can be quite surprising for some people. I personally loved it because I think that really breaks down that barrier between students and professors. And when you're at a master level, it's very likely that your teachers are actually going to be people that one day you might be working with. So I feel like breaking down that barrier is so important to create an easier connection to, you know, ask questions or, you know, ask for information about internships or anything like that, really. So I think overall it was a pretty smooth experience. It's very easy to notice that, you know, Swedes are a little bit less open than Southern people. It's always very easy to chit chat and have a very quick conversation with someone from the South. And obviously Swedes don't really enjoy small talk as much as Mediterraneans, but it is still something that you get used to. And eventually you understand that these people, like, they have nothing against you. It is just a specific type of personality. And once you do get to know them, most of them are just so sweet and so welcoming. And I noticed that in my corridor when I first got here, everyone was super helpful and showing me like, oh, this is an empty fridge, you can put your stuff here. And oh, this cupboard is also empty, you can put your things in there. So everyone was super helpful and welcoming. And I think that's the most important part.
Excellent. Thanks. I think you should keep up with you know, the small talk, because I think, you know, the more people who come here and engage in small talk, the more it will become natural here too. Because you know, I really like it. I love chatting to, like, you know, random people in the supermarket about cheese or, you know, whatever. So, you know, keep at it. How about you, Asia? What do you agree with Rebecca? I've seen you nod a few times.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Rebecca. And actually, regarding this informality in the classrooms, I was also very surprised about that, because in Italy, you always talk with your professor, you know, with a very high degree of formality. And when you send emails also, you have to be very formal. And here in Sweden, it's definitely different. And I guess that it's probably everywhere in the university in Sweden, it's like that. And this was quite helpful when then we switched to the online mode. Because, for example, my program director, she decided when we started to be online to have this morning fika every week on Tuesday. And we were kind of able to have a nice talk, you know, with her, but also with our colleagues. And that is something that is possible if you have this kind of informal relationship. And I know that colleagues, I mean, friends of mine in Italy didn't have this chance, because if it's very formal when you are in presence, it's going to be even probably more formal also online. And regarding the things that I was not expecting here, I would say that before to come to Sweden, my passport was expired. And I actually thought that that was not a big issue, because I had my electronic ID card, and I thought that that might be enough, since I am still in Europe. But I was a little bit wrong. So then I had to renovate it, and was quite like a long thing to do and very complex to renovate it from here. And so I would recommend to everyone, if you're planning to come to Sweden, and if you don't have a passport, or if your passport is expired, it's better to have it. Because for some things, for example, for applying for a Swedish ID card, it actually is a quite important document, because then with the Swedish ID card, you can open a bank account. You need a passport. So this is, something that I want to stress a little bit, because I was very surprised about that when I came here.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's a good point. And I think one of the first ports of call should be the tax office to apply for a personal identity number. It's the key to a lot of services in this country. And if you want to work extra, if there is time for that, you know, some people do a few hours as an ambassador, like Asia and Rebecca. It's essential that you have this personal identity number. I thought I would share my screen because we've talked about your programs, but let's have a look at the other programs. Let's have a look. Where have I got the? See, we were laughing about this before. How it's been a year of being online, and yet I especially have not been. I don't seem to be a pro at this yet. But here we go. Just kind of quick overview. I think we can see. Can we see your program there? No, we can't see your program there, Rebecca. We definitely can't see Asia's. But a lot of our programs are engineering or computer science. And for those programs, I think students do spend quite a lot of time in class, on campus. So either in class or in a lab. So it's quite a different experience than I think what Asia is explaining, and it's probably closer to Rebecca's experience, yet even more so on campus. We have one program in design, environmental studies, and education. We also have natural sciences, and this is where we have applied ethology and animal biology. What you can see for yourself on the screen. And then there's the social sciences and humanities. And on this screen, you'll find the ethnic and migration studies. So we do have a bit of a mix. And I'm going to go to the next page, because
we are a university based in the...
I said it was all a bit... still not running smoothly. But the key dates, these are quite important. I mean, I don't know if the majority of you are EU citizens or if you are non-EU citizens, but these are the key dates that are worth bearing in mind. So EU citizens can apply in the Swedish round. We actually have a video that we can share a link in the chat. I think Asia had it. We'll share a link to the how to apply page. And at the bottom, there is a video with a talk through really of how you do it, as the programs will only be open on the Swedish site, which is antagning.se. We do make this difficult for you. But basically the video is a talk through of what you click on, so that you can follow the application process. But the deadline for this is 15th of April, opens 15th of March and closes 15th of April. And you have until the 3rd of May to prove either citizenship or that you are exempt for other reasons. But it's basically the residence permit that is the key issue in this whole process. 21st of June, additional documentation, and then the results, the first results come out on the 9th of July. And you have to respond to this. This is very, very important because the people who don't respond will then be deleted, and reserves will be offered places on the 29th of July. But these dates make it too late for anyone who is not or anybody who requires a residence permit to apply for one. So if you are not sure that you are either an EU citizen or that you have a residence permit for other reasons, really check this, because it will be a shame to go through the whole process and pay money for something that there is no chance. And then you have the normal, not the normal, but the regular application period. And this one has now closed for the autumn intake. So you will have a look again in the middle of October, and then it closes 15th of January. And again, you get the results early April. So the students who applied 15th of January this year, they have not yet received their results or admission results. But these students are the ones who will be able to apply for residence permit once they have paid the fee, because it takes around 3 or 4 months. So that's the reason. Asia, Rebecca, do you feel that I have missed anything that you think I should add?
Can I say something? Sorry. Yeah. If you can go back, please, to the other slide. So like the deadlines, I'm looking at the only EU citizens, so like this year. The 21st of June, it's a quite like important deadline, because it's when you can submit your, for example, the English document that prove your English requirements, and that is kind of a quite important document. So you still have time. I don't know how it works in your countries, but in Italy you need to, organize your time, because it's not so easy and it's not so quick to reserve a place to take an English exam if you need to prove your requirements. So I think that this is very important. If you still have time to do that, because this is why the deadline for that kind of documents is a little bit after the application deadline. Yeah, just this.
That's a really, really important point. Prove your English. So it needs to be IELTS, which is 6.5, TOEFL, which I believe is 90 on the online test. But this is important, and you have, if you're an EU citizen and you're applying now, you have until the 3rd of May as well, or no, 21st of June, to supply this additional documentation. And as I quickly there, we have this page, which I think, Asia, you will put a link to the video on this page, and maybe we'll put a link to this page as well in the chat. But this is how you apply, and this the information on this page is really aimed at the 15th of October to 15th of January application period. The fact that there's a second application round, the national round, is relatively new, but the video is at the bottom of that page. I would like to say a big thank you to Asia, a big thank you to Rebecca. Have a look at their blog posts. They have loads of great information, and Instagram. I think, Rebecca, you were on Instagram last week or the week before, or this week?
This week. This
week, of course, it's this week. Asia?
Yeah, you can always comment on the blog. We can see your comments, and if it's important to reply to you, we can always reply to you in the blog, and also you can always write on Instagram. The DM thing. Yeah.
And also, if you've any correspondence that you've received from us, such as the invite to this webinar, you can just hit reply, and you'll get an answer from me or one of my colleagues. So connect with us, ask us questions. There are no stupid questions. Make sure that you feel comfortable and confident about your journey here, really. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, bye.
Thank you, bye.